Okay, so I have two expectations. I have the expectation of, when it comes to food, that it really doesn't matter what I can eat. I can eat whatever I want to, and well-being is just who I am. Also, this expectation that if I eat these certain things that I will be thin and stay skinny and, blah, blah, all that, blah, blah stuff. So I have these two expectations.
Well, we're going to argue with you a little bit about that. Are you saying...
I have two ways to get there then, let's say that.
Are you saying that sometimes you think one thing and sometimes you think another?
It's always my intent to know that...
Because you don't hold two expectations simultaneously.
I think it's just because I'm...
Which one of those expectations holds the most resistance?
I really do.
Which one of those two statements?
Carbs matter. I'm just like, shut up, that is not my thought. Like, I don't believe that. Like, I've demonstrated that well-being is my permanent state. I don't believe that. Be quiet. I don't want to hear it, But then all of a sudden I'll be like, ooh, how many net carbs does that have? Like, who cares? I am well. I am strong. I am whole. I am complete. I am loved. I am beautiful. I am clean. I am blah, 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 blah. That's who I am. But I have to eat every day, which is great here. I eat all dessert and I'm great. Woo! Just because all my friends know I eat dessert first. But then I'm around people that's all they talk about is their carbs and their blah, blah. Or 10 years ago it was something else, and 10 years from now it'll be something else. And that really isn't my thought. I know I can get there. If I need a path of least resistance, then I can do this other thing, but I don't want to do it anymore. Can you just do a rampage for me of like food or something? Okay, I'll just sit here and be quiet. You talk to me.
You have out-rampaged source energy. And it's a wonderful thing that you've demonstrated, because you've demonstrated the chaos of your mind.
Yes! It is such a chaos sometimes.
And everyone is resonating with it to some degree, because you've demonstrated the chaos of their minds as well. So, can you hear us when we say, especially after the conversation that we just had, right before all of this, that it's the energy flow that matters more than sorting out the rightness or the wrongness of these thoughts? And can you feel, wasn't this a good demonstration that in the effort at sorting out the rightness or the wrongness of the thought and behavior, it negatively affected the energy flow? And that's the only thing that you have to know. Esther had dinner with one of the most delightful, beautiful people that she knows on the planet, who eats more than Esther has ever seen anyone eat, and looks more like everyone that Esther knows everyone wants to look like. And Esther said, I'm only barely tolerating you here. I can hardly stand you. In other words, you know that there are those that the behavior has little to do with what they're eating. We would like to say to all of you that the food that you're eating is not having the impact on your physical apparatus. It's the burdens that you're carrying. It's the crosses that you are bearing. It's the responsibility that you are carrying around. It's your feeling of vulnerability. There are so many factors that are bigger than that. And so what we really want you to hear, and we know it was fun, and we all really did enjoy the words that you were offering, and we do understand the confusion that you are feeling about it. But on the heels of the conversation about vaccinations, on the heels of the conversations about the rightness or the wrongness of anything, this is what we are talking to you about. People are watching each other. They are trying to chart behaviors and then chart results. And then they are trying to mimic behaviors and trying to mimic results. And what they discover is that even if they get some short-term results, they're not able to sustain the results that they want from the behaviors that they are mimicking unless they have done the vibrational work first. And for some reason, the vibrational work is the last work that almost all of you want to do. The action work is what you want to jump into first, where the vibrational work is the work that will sustain you longest. So that's why all of your questions have dovetailed together in such a magnificent way. Because you said, Abraham, I thought that you were saying this about that, and then I heard you say something entirely different to someone else, and that caused me confusion. And we explained to you, the best that we've ever explained, that we are always talking to the individual about them finding their path of least resistance. And so the big topic here is not what you're eating or not eating, or how many of whatever measurements of whatever is in whatever it is that you are eating. The bigger conversation is the way you are feeling about most of the food that you are eating. You're not lining up with who you are first and then taking action. And it's the joy factor that we want to talk about. It's the joy factor. We think you've got a high joy factor. We think you also, like most, have a high tolerance for negative emotion. You have a high tolerance for frustration. You're willing to whip yourself into an uncomfortable frenzy. You're willing to get around and talk with people about the rightness or the wrongness of behavior or action. You talk, even in this body of people, an inordinate amount of hours over the things that you are doing or the remedies that you are seeking, when what you're really reaching for is the remedy of the renewal of source energy. And yet that, even in an environment like this, is almost the last thing that you're reaching for, because you rely so much on your words and so much on your action and so much on your behavior and so much on your statistics, so much on your whatever it is you're receiving in this receptive mode here, you see. So it is our expectation that as you leave this gathering, after having been immersed in more high-mindedness and high-flyingness and more listening, feeling, and hearing and taking in of the vibration of well-being, that you will discover a vibrational shift within you that will help you move toward whatever you want. You have to understand, everyone does not want the same things. Everyone's vortex is uniquely their own. And your inner being is leading you from where you are to where you want to be, specifically and accurately and effectively. You just have to chill out. You just have to chill out. Now, can you do that? It's not exactly easy, is it? She got to you, didn't she? The things she was saying were many of the things that you've been saying and thinking and feeling about things. But we want you to leave here as energy renewing itself rather than physicality that is renewing itself. As you put that first, you'll be inspired to the behavior, and it will all fit together. It is our promise to you. Something more?
I mean, I feel like...
Because you cannot argue for your limitations and leave them behind.
Yeah. So it's just about focus.
It's about focus, but it's about focusing on something that feels good. It's about maybe getting off a subject that's hard for you to focus on and feel good, and onto another subject that's easy for you to focus on and feel good. This is the thing that we think most of you don't know. It's this here, right here. This is the thing that you don't know, that when you know it, you're going to find so much release and so much relief and so much benefit. This is the thing that you do not know. You don't know that while you may have 5 subjects that are important to you, all 5 of those subjects are conducive either to alignment with your receptive mode or alignment with something less than that pure positive energy receptive mode. Stay with us. This is going to make sense in just a minute. So you could have 5 topics of importance in your life experience. 5 topics of importance. And one of them, whenever you think about it, could take you right to the receptive mode. But most of you don't think about that one because it feels done. Got that one whipped into alignment. Need to work on the others. But when you work on the others, you just hold yourself out of the receptive mode. So you could take anything that causes you to feel good and focus upon it. And then you would accomplish the only thing that matters, which is the receptive mode. The receptive mode. And when you're in the receptive mode, then as you move through life experience, then it's fun, then you're clear, then you're inspired, then you get momentum going. So what is it that causes humans? Let's just poke around in this just for a little bit. What is it that makes you want to take the issue that is not working and get it working? Because while it is the human way to find a need and fill it and find a problem and fix it, for marks on the chart or for justification or for expression of worthiness or whatever. What if none of that were relevant? What if you were already understood as worthy? What if that was already accomplished, so that the things that you were thinking about were not to solve problems, but for the pleasure of thinking about them? What if you got 5 subjects in your life? Let's say one of them is money, and you want to be prosperous, and you are to some degree, but you do not have the latitude in your budget to do all of the things that you want. So there is some resistance, some hindrance, some holding back, some worry, some struggle in the subject of money. Let's say that another subject is relationships. And let's say that you have many relationships that are satisfying to you, but the specific relationship that is important to you is not where you want it to be. And so there's some worry, and there's some concern, and there's some blame, and there's some discomfort in that subject. And let's say another subject is the subject of your passion. Let's say you have something that you like to do. Maybe you like to sing, or maybe you enjoy dancing, or maybe you like to paint onto a canvas. And while you know that there will always be more expansion and evolution on every topic, this is something that when you are experiencing it, it is so satisfying and so fulfilling, and you feel so much enthusiasm while you are doing it. And let's say that there's another subject of family or loved ones, maybe your own children, maybe people who are up close to you, and most of them are doing all right, but all of them are complaining about one thing or another. So you have all of these choices of things that you could think about. Seriously, as humans, you go to the ones that need your attention and you struggle and think about them. You work hard and worry. It's as if you think that you're going to get to where you want to be by solving problems. It's as if you think that you could choose the unwanted end of the stick and activate it within you and be motivated from that, and that your life will just get better and better. When really what we're saying to you is, take that one subject of liking to dance or liking to hear music and do more and more and more and more and more of that. Let your choice be not what needs to be done. Let your choice be what feels best right now when you do it. And let that occupy the majority of your thoughts. Let that occupy the majority of your thoughts. There were hundreds and thousands of miles that Esther was driving the monster bus and so forth for a period of 11 or 12 years. And while she was driving the monster bus, while there was plenty to see that was pleasurable, so much of the time when she was driving at night or when she was driving in areas of more desolation, she fantasized about the treehouse. She envisioned the treehouse, not because it needed her to think about it in order to not feel lonely or left out, but because it gave her so much pleasure to think about the treehouse. Sometimes she would reconstruct it. Sometimes she would make it, instead of 3 stories high, in her mind she would make it 10 stories high. Sometimes she would go get beautiful crystals and glass, and she would tie them on fishing wire, and she would screw them into the ceiling, and then she would watch the sunlight come in, and she would see the rainbow in the treehouse. In other words, anything. You want to think your thoughts for the pleasure of the thought, not for the practical nature of the thought. You want to think your thought for the vibrational quality of the thought, not for the construction of the thought. Are you following us? You're wanting to tend to your vibrational nature, not to your action nature. And we know this is a difficult bill of sale that we are giving you. Best sales job ever that we have given you in helping you to be less physically focused and more non-physically, vibrationally focused. But if you will make that adjustment, that slight adjustment, and we know it's going to take some focus, can you not think for the pleasure of thought? For the pleasure of the thought? For a while, when we were encouraging focus wheels, we talked about them as a way to shift energy. But soon as we observed you with your focus wheels, we found you trying to solve problems with them. So it was defeating its true purpose. The true purpose of the focus wheel is to find something that is pleasurable and then focus upon the pleasure of it longer until it fills out into more and more and more and more detail. It's your job to choose the thoughts that allow your valve to be open, to choose the thoughts that allow you to be in the receptive mode, to choose the thoughts that allow you to receive what you've asked for, what you've put there, what is ready for you, what is waiting for you, what wants to be with you, you see.